If are going to wait a perfect time, perfect moment, perfect year to come and get you sworn by your feet, and you are going to be so famous, and you're going to be helping multiple people, and you're going to be running a multiple digit business, it's not going to happen.
Hello, Dr. Aiman. How are you? Welcome to the Muslimah Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hey Fatima, it's so good to be here and to see you again. And I'm so happy to represent Muslimah entrepreneurs here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. I just love your content. We connected on Instagram. This is the new thing, I think, for people just to connect on Instagram DMs.
Definitely.
And then we jumped on a call to, know each other better. And then I was like, you have to come definitely on the Muslim Entrepreneur Podcast, because I know that it's your knowledge and the content that you give to people is going to be very, very valuable to this audience, which is, mainly Muslim women. But if we are touching all the, women entrepreneurs, because again, we're a minority inside of minority. So it's good, it's still valuable, much more valuable.
I agree. Having to be a woman entrepreneur and then a Muslim woman entrepreneur is definitely minority within minority.
Yeah.
And I guess it's need load of work, good communities. And I'm glad that, it's all coming along. It's all making sense. People are joining each other, and definitely Instagram is one of the tools that's playing a big role in connecting Muslim entrepreneurs all over the world.
True,
Yeah.
true. And I think that's a great segue to let people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, it is. It is like, definitely, it does help.
So who is Dr. Aiman and what does she do?
So I am a cosmetic and aesthetic surgeon. I'm a life coach for Muslim women. I basically work with Muslim women who are coming from actually toxic homes and relationships. They could be very successful in their careers and in their professional or financial backgrounds. But again, when you are coming from broken homes, either it could be through your parents, or either it could be through your partners, or any kind of home, or you never get a chance to have a home before due to any circumstances, or you could be an immigrant woman living in a westernized world, or you could be a Muslim woman. A new Muslim woman living in a Muslim world but does not feel fitted in. I work with all of them, and that's it. That's what I'm about. I do solo sessions with Muslim women all around the world, in either they are in West, in Asian countries, in Middle East, and this is what I love about my work: connecting with other Muslim women and helping them.
I love that. On our first conversation, you shared with me your transition, from being a doctor to a life coach. And I would love you to share that, a bit of that story, because it's so interesting. In a sense of like, people feel that when we start a career, we feel like, oh, this is the only thing that we can do. But so they don't, either accept opportunities coming their way, or like they even think like, oh, I have something else that I want to do, let me explore and do that, because it's definitely a possibility today in this day and age. So can you share, like, how did you make the transition? Why did you make the transition to being like, from being a doctor to a life coach?
Fortunately, the time we have been born in, your opportunities are limitless. Sky is your limit, and sometimes I would say even not sky. Who knows, there is another sky for you, right? So I have always been a doctor. I always dreamed about being a doctor. I work in aesthetic and cosmetic for many years. It was a dream come true for me. I have had good years of practicing with amazing doctors all over the world, having to have good fellowship in best universities of the world. And at some point, you reach in your career where you want to say, what's next? What's there for me that's challenging? And at that point, I wanted to find a coach that I can work with. So having to come from a background of color, and then being a Muslim within a background of color, and I'm biracial, by the way. So I'm coming with two different kind of ethnicities. So that's minority within minority and within minority. The diversity gets bigger, but also your challenges and complications. So I realized we do not have much representation of women of colors, and especially Muslim women of colors in our community. We do not have enough coaches to go towards. The coach I get was very white, although she was amazing woman, but there were so many problems or things in life that she couldn't even relate to. And that was my thinking point. I did definitely get the help that I wanted at that time. I was fortunate enough to look around for much help, and I definitely appreciate having to have a bunch of coaches that had me reach that point. But definitely, it put me into thinking like what other women of my age group, or even younger, older than me, might be going through when they wanted something similar. So I started working toward becoming a coach. I got my training from the topmost group coaching coach in Canada, that is Stephanie J. Marshall. I work with her, I co-partner, I got trained under her, and then I started my practice. So since then, it's no looking back, and that's pretty much my transition. Today I was talking to my friend, and she's a therapist. So we were sitting around, we were coming from vacation, and she asked me a very interesting question. You were one of the topmost doctors. How has the transition treating you with a change of lifestyle? Of course, when you're a doctor, your lifestyle is so much different. The kind of things you're getting in life, everything changes, right? Right, from your finances to your circle, your community. And she asked me like very interesting thing. Do you regret it? And I thought about it, and it didn't even took me 1 second to say no. I love being a coach. It's amazing. I told her I have worked with OR, I have worked with OPTs. I loved being a doctor. I didn't regret at any point, and I had a huge potential, and I had a really proud bright future if I would have gone as much more specializations. And I definitely get that power of helping people. But now, when I'm helping women within my community, empowering them, helping them, and knowing that I am filling the gap that has been here for many, many years, and I could be one of the brick to fill that gap within Muslim community, it feels so amazing, so motivating for me that that lifestyle, that working, that collaboration, bigger communities, and finances, that does not even disturb me. Like they do not even come to my mind. Do I miss anything? Yeah, I miss being a doctor. But do I want to change anything for my transition and going back? Definitely not. I love this. Yeah.
And it definitely sounds like it. And I remember from our first conversation, you also shared that, that you're thriving in what you're doing. And in addition to doing something that you feel, being a purpose, you're also giving back, and it's much more rewarding because it's definitely a need. And for me, I really felt the same thing this year when I decided to, shift my niche and focus on Muslim women, because as you did, I observed that we weren't served as, we were supposed to. And coming from an entrepreneurial background, like building your own business, again, like this is a man's world, and it's a Western world, especially if you live in Western countries. All my peers were like white men, and I mean, I loved being in that, environment, because I learned so much, and it boosted my confidence, and it gave me this, alpha energy that you need, as a leader. However, it's, like listening to my mentors, there are things that I can't share with them because they won't understand, so it is limiting. And I love that much more women are coming to the front and being an example, as you said, like they're doing their stuff, and just being an inspiration for, their peers, and also for the generation to come. So I'm super, super excited about that, as you did. So now that you have your own business, I want to know what was your biggest struggle, building that coaching business, and how did you overcome it? If you did, or if you're in the process, like how are you working on it?
I think about business, at different point of business, there are struggles that are different from each point, right? When you're starting, there's a difficulty of having to meet your community and how you are going to market yourself, how you're going to get your clients. And then once you start getting clients, then there's another difficulty of how you are going to manage them, how you're going to convince them that they need work. Yeah, so definitely, for every stage, I did have my fair share of complications. I wouldn't say complication, but I did learn through these small steps that I want, what I wanted in my business, and how I can help and answer back to these women, how I can, like build up my practice to make it more easier for them to get help. But one thing that definitely is same throughout the beginning, the middle stage, or inshallah, if it's going to get advanced, that our community and the women, although there's a huge gap and we do not have enough resources and help, um, there are so less women coaches within community. They're scared. They're scared to come out. They're scared to talk about and ask for help. I think a huge part of it has to do with the fact that within our culture, Muslim culture, we have made women an aura of such strong personality that she wouldn't need help. She could tackle everything in her life, but we all know it's not true. Even if you are the most strong and independent women who are doing just best in every kind of thing you are doing, you might need help at some point of your life. So definitely, it's a huge challenge. And since I work with women who have very alpha personalities who are doing great in their businesses, they are doctors and scientists, and at CEO level or at a very strong managerial level, having to make them understand it's okay to ask for help. It's okay if you feel stuck at somewhere at some point in your life, and it's not a problem. It's if somebody is guiding you through that, you will be able to overcome it. It's definitely a challenge, but alhamdulillah, we have been able to work on it. With so many resources and help, and there have been guidelines, the law of alignment that I work with, it has helped women. And once they start working with me, they get to know, okay, yeah, it wasn't so hard to take help, it wasn't scary, and I could definitely ask for help. And in long run, it's going to help me what I want to achieve in life, right? So yeah, I would say this was the biggest challenge, to have to able to convince this woman that they are not in any kind of disorder to ask for help, and it's totally okay.
Yeah. So what did you do like specifically to convince them of that? Of like, you know what, you're already an established like woman in your, industry, and you did a lot of things. Now you can get to the next level. And at some point you got to ask for help. You got to do it with someone, that will guide you to go to the next level. Even you, sometimes you don't know that there is a next level, or you're too afraid to get there. So what did you do specifically, maybe in your communication, marketing, or anything that brought you these clients, that made them, okay, take the first step to come and talk to you?
I think the first step to having to have make them trust you. I think this is the first step. Um, when most of the women are coming from a place where they're scarred, either they have been to life coaches or psychologists or people they would ask for help and they didn't get good help, or could be a thing that they were thinking about too much about getting help. They didn't know where to go exactly, and if they would get at the right point, so they were not convinced like if this is the right track that I want. So for me, having to talk to them, having to make them trust the system and convince them that nothing happens overnight. It's going to take some steps, and one by one, you are going to reach the level. And sometimes, Fatima, It happens. When the women are coming, these women could be coming with one problem, and as a life coach, you could talk to them and you see through that was never a problem. The problem was so much more different than what they were assuming. But I guess the thing about life coaches, they don't dictate you, right? They don't tell you, you do this, do that. This is the problem. They lead you. And I guess this was the thing that gave my clients the confidence that I do not dictate them what they need to do, but I rather help them to think where the problem is lying, what they could do in right way to achieve what they want. Or maybe if there's a no problem in what they are seeing through their circumstances, it's all right. They can transfer this shift. They can look at it from another's perspective and look it through in a better view of how they can work on themselves or the environment or the goals that they want to work on. So leading them in a way where they were able to take their own decision, because like I said, these women, imagine you being a hardcore surgeon, you are in a OR where you take every single decision. There are men coming, like multiple men working under you. You are the boss there, or you are running a digit business. So you are not. It's not easy to order them, right? These women, they are like highly alpha women. They have rebellion in them. They are hardcore. They are strong-headed. They have seen the world like they want, and they are so fiercely independent. They have everything that one could ask for in life. So having to convince them to take the decision on their own pace and then see through these decisions, it definitely take times, having to make them sit and go through things with them and supervise them, and again, not telling them what to do, but actually making them figure out what should be the next step. Is one of the biggest, I guess, process that get to do with these women, and that's why they were able to trust in the process, and they were able to achieve the results way before what we had planned or what we have marked as goal. So definitely it helps a lot when you don't dictate them, but rather help them, aid them to take their own decisions and take the opportunity within their hand to determine what they want.
I mean, you just gave us like a definition of coaching, because I mean, what I've seen also is that we need to educate a lot of, our clients and community also on what coaching is. Coaching is different from therapy. Coaching is different from mentorship. Coaching is different from consultancy. So if you go to a consultant or a mentor, it's all about asking them for help, like, oh, what should I do? Like, tell me what I do. Coaching is, I have an objective that I want to reach. It's going to be difficult for me to reach by myself, or there are things that I don't see. So it's all about you having the answers as the coachee, not, the coach. So definitely we do that work with them in just pushing them to reflect and think and just being a sounding board. And most of the time, this is so powerful that, they find the answers that they were looking for, and it didn't come from outside, it came from inside. And once you help people, have that process, because at the end of the coaching relationship, what's powerful is that they can take this process and use it in their life afterwards. It's so powerful. So definitely, people, this is what coaching is. So if you're afraid of, like, okay, you don't know what's life coaching, we're not going to tell you, oh my gosh, follow your dreams or the law of attraction. And no, it's not. If you have an objective specific that you want to reach, this is, how you can do it. And we have many more tools, but definitely I think this is huge that you've seen that coming from these powerful women, again, like established, educated, all of that. So from that, you shared one of their struggles. What did you see as, like kind of like the main struggle they shared, and how did you help them overcome? I think that would be helpful to, once again, why do I ask these questions of like struggle? Because we kind of feel like we're by ourselves having these issues, like, oh, I'm the only one having this issue, like nobody will understand me and all of that. But you would be surprised, how many struggles we share. And some people figure out solutions. So it might not be the right solution for you, but it gives you like a door, like a gateway that you can experiment with and see if it's, fits you or not. So yeah, what is the main struggle that you've seen that these women share, and how did you help them overcome it?
So I guess you would agree, like, given the fact, if you are a woman, does not matter if you're a Muslim woman, Christian woman, or if you don't follow any religion, you're just a woman who, like want to believe in maybe spirituality or maybe nothing. We all have one thing in common. We all work too hard to a point where we do not believe ourselves that what we have achieved is what we deserve. And this is so common. Um, Having to ask them question every day, like, have I worked enough to get to this point, or am I lying to myself, or what if I get caught, or like what if somebody get me off hook, like maybe I'm faking it. So it's one of the general syndrome that is among all the women, women of color, women of faith, women of non-faith, and having to live in different communities in a different lifestyle in different ways. I get a biggest part of it has to do with the fact that no matter which community, which background you're coming from, women have a lot of pressure to prove themselves from very beginning. Like when a girl is born, she has been put into pressure to being a great daughter. And then there's a pressure that our society has put onto her to become a good mother at a perfect time. And, uh, the tags keep changing, but duties and responsibility does not. It's same. It could be because of technology, we might have a little ease or maybe not. But what our grandmothers and their grandmothers and our mothers and our daughters are having the same problem. And so that kind of spirit in women to prove herself, to prove that she's enough, it's common in all part of the world, and we do not realize this until we start talking to them, and then we get to know, oh my god, she's thinking the same. You could see a very amazing surgeon who is best in her work ethics. She's known, she is so much more successful. She works with hundreds and thousands of patients. She is doing her research work in some, cancers where she could be the only one doing it. And then you meet a girl or a woman who was married off very young. She has a kid or two, and her responsibility is having to take care of the home, her kids, and having to bring up the best in them, having to look after them the best way, and taking care of her husband, her relationship, and in-laws and family. Even though these both women look different from the aura, you were thinking, oh my God, Aiman, that one woman is a hardcore surgeon. She has gone to university and she's working in, like multi-managerial firm, and she is one of the biggest boss in hospital and she's known. And other woman is just sitting at home, bringing up kids. But both of them has one thing common. They both want to prove themselves for at the stage where they are, and they both have this pressure, and they both question themselves multiple times in a day, are we doing it good, are we enough, would we be able to do it? So I guess it's the most general problem I face in my clients who are coming from different backgrounds, and we discuss about it, we talk it, and definitely work with them to get that confidence that yes, you're enough. and you are best. No matter what you do, no matter how slow or fast you achieve that goal, no matter how you achieve that goal, it could be consistent, it could be a little bit inconsistent. You can go into procrastination, you can, like swiftly achieve it. You are enough, and there's nothing in the world that can undermine your energy.
This is so good. I made a video that was triggered by my conversation with Samira Qureshi. She has sexual healing for Muslims. And so on Fatima KTV, on my YouTube channel, she talked about the imposter syndrome. And so I made a video with that. And I put also what Michelle Obama talked, about that topic also. So, and she explained it in a way that was super, interesting, because her too, I mean, once she became, the number one, women in the United States, she was in boardrooms, she was in rooms where she felt, oh my gosh, I'm just going to get discovered, like when the shoe is going to drop, on me, they're going to see that I'm not qualified to be here. And she said something really interesting. She said, all our lives as women, we were told that we, shouldn't be in these boardrooms, or, we're not qualified to be in a certain place. We're not qualified to be moms, and I love that you gave the example of the stay-at-home mom. She has so much work. So we say, like professional wife, but like being at home and managing the household, I mean, kudos to you. It's a lot of work. And she said, because since a young age, we were told things like that, we came to believe that, and I love that you say, okay, now, no, stop there. Let's rewire, let's regroup and understand that you are enough and you did your best job, and that's enough. And it's not surprising that we have that. And the moment I think we're going to break out from this and gain the confidence, I mean, our results will 10x. We'll be completely free if we're like believe and say to ourselves, we are enough and I did my best right here, right now. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to continue to learn or anything. No. And in the confidence code, I love this book about confidence, and it's two women that wrote it. They said, I've never met an incompetent woman, and we feel like we'll still need so many more expertise. No, you got all of that. Yes, we study more, we're more curious, we want to. It's crazy. You are competent. So like, why are you having this limiting belief? So it definitely comes from outside, but it has been repeated so much that you came to believe that word. So it became a limiting belief. So you got to, break through this limiting belief, and you'll see like your life will definitely change. And for me, I'm like, and as you said, I don't have any regret on what I do, like I'm not a perfectionist, because I know that what I deliver is just the best that I could at that moment, so why should I judge it? Why should I judge myself, and just diminish the value of the work that I delivered? So powerful. So I hope this resonated with women. So at some point, if you don't feel, like if you feel like you're not enough, or like you saying yourself, this is not good, or I'm not good enough to apply to this job. And in another conversation, I talked with a woman that she works in these, in economics, women in economics, and they've done studies, and that showed that women do not ask for a raise. When there is a job posting, you're like, they're asking for 10 competencies. If a woman sees that and she doesn't have the 10 competencies, she's like, I'm not going to apply to this job. And on the opposite, a man is going to be like, oh yeah, I got this. I got 3 competencies in that. I'm just going to apply and see what happens. So we definitely need to shift our narrative around that and just be more bold, I think, in what we can do, because we can do so much already.
I definitely believe that. I definitely believe that. The society has put us into a point that we believe that either we could be perfectionist or we could be nothing. Mm-hmm. And who has perfectionism? right? Like, who, tell me one point or role model of perfectionism since the world has come. As a Muslim, definitely believe that Prophet peace be upon him could be one person that has perfectionism. But in ordinary people, no one, no
No.
one. Everyone has their faults and flaws. We all make bad decisions. We all are going to have some bad days. It could be a night where we want to eat an ice cream and just snuggle. It's all right.
It's all right. You
As
could do
far
it.
as you are doing good, you can do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Nobody's spying on you and say, "Oh my gosh, she stopped working." Like,
Yeah.
oh, she did it. She did it. She procrastinated, and we all do that. And definitely, I think going back to we are a human being, and I think objectively assessing yourself without judging yourself, taking the judgment out, and saying, you know what, this is what I can do. And I always say to my clients, you know what, if today you did 1%, guess what? 1% is still positive and it counts.
Yeah.
So definitely, I love that you said that. In that sense, I think, I know that you talk a lot about, healthy boundaries, and we can continue on that topic about, building healthy boundaries within ourselves, against ourselves, but also, about, having other people, like, because we do not live alone in an island. We gotta, be in a society, and sometimes, even if you didn't ask for it, I mean, a lot of times you didn't ask for it, negativity will come your way and you'll meet negative people. So how do you teach your clients to, build these healthy boundaries? And think that would be a great resource to have, especially, at the beginning of 2022, that they can experiment with.
So I tell you a very interesting incident. I was on vacation. We were sitting with my friends in a cafe, and both of my friends, they're amazing women, very professional, and they're doing great in their profession. At that age where you start thinking about having to have family, and there's a pressure and everything. So we were talking, and somehow this topic went to dating in Muslim world and having to talk with your parents about it and having to have that change in your life. Where do you start? How do you look after things? So my friend asked a very interesting question. She said that sometimes you get into a position where you does not know what to say, but you don't want to agree to that, and you want to be polite, and you want to be, like take away yourself from that position, but you does not know simply what to do. And I said, you just say no. And she's like, no, Aiman, it's kind of like it's not easy to say no. Like, why? It's making you uncomfortable. You do not want that conversation. And it's all right if you say no. So these women, Fatima, they are not teenagers. They are not that girls who have went to school just yesterday and there is a guy or there is someone who is snatching their lunch, or they're not giving them permission to play in the playground. Their mother does not want them to wear a pink pajama. They are hardcore women who are in their late 30s, very established, very developed. And they were stunned. They said, you know what, we want to say no, but it feels so impolite. And I said, why it feel impolite? And they were like, no, does it feel in our head that we need to give a reason to say no? So you see that how the upbringing that we have been given in a culture where it's so hard for a woman to say no, given the fact that she's uncomfortable, she does not want it, but even to having to not accept that, she cannot say no because she's too scared that her saying no is going to make somebody else uncomfortable. Imagine that. And so this is where I teach my clients, you know, how to incorporate your boundaries. I know human is a social animal. Like you said, we were not born in an island. We were not brought by a swan. We were not dropped on our front porch by, something amazing for an alien. We were born in a world. We are having to born with families. Mashallah, we have huge community and relationships and friends and co-workers and this and that. But beside everything, we were all born equal human. We all have emotions. We all have our potential, where we know what we can do, where we cannot know what we can't do. We all have that kind of instinct within us, where we know what we are comfortable with and what we can't take anymore. But the fact is that being a woman, you are being pressurized into taking all these things so much on yourself, and you are being then again told to be polite, that you forget that you have this kind of sting or gut feeling to say no to, or to stand up for yourself. And even when you are standing up for yourself, you feel so guilty. So this is my main focus, having to teach my clients how to be very stern with the fact that you have to maintain your boundaries. No politeness, no, not being guilty, no shame box, not having to think for multiple nights and overeating yourself and indulging in, some comfort food just because you said no to someone, or just because you tried to explain yourself to someone. No long explanations, no having to read that text again and again and having to cry and then again say yes to that. No. You could be to your parents. Okay, you can have respect and you say, Amma or Mom, I can't do this. This makes me uncomfortable. I love you. This does not take away the respect that I have for you, but this is enough for me. I can't take it today, or maybe not tomorrow, not anymore. And please, we can't talk about it. This could be with your husband. Like, I want my space, I want my boundaries. I love you as a person, but I am a person myself. With your children, like I said, people can keep changing, relation kept changing from one person to another, level of respect, level of non-respect, having to communicate in the way of communication. But what's not changing? You. What's not changing? Your instinct, your feeling, your emotions, having to take care of them. If you're not going to take care of them, who is going to? Fatima, people does not know where your boundaries are if you're not going to tell them. Trust me, wallahi, I've seen women in situation where their own parents and their kids and their spouses did not know that how far they have pushed this woman, where she is going. She is getting on a verge of nervous breakdown, but she cannot cry because you know what? We love having to see strong women running household, and she cannot complain because why would you? And this is a huge pressure. So I just tell them, no, you are not here to please so many people. You are just here, if as a Muslim we think, we're just here to please Allah. And if anything is going against Allah's will, or what He has made you as a human, and the kind of thinking and abilities He has given you, if it's going against it, yes, it's all right to say no. If the other person is taking it in ego, they are not understanding it, it's not your problem, right? If you get it right, you are satisfied. But the biggest factor is, like we went back to again, having to make the clients and the women overall, having to make them understand that them making faces, taking it on hard, and not agreeing to how you have described your boundaries. It's not your problem. But I guess it's a hard process, inshallah, but time by time. It's going to take some time, but I believe that they're going to totally understand it. Yeah.
It is definitely a very, very uncomfortable process to say no, because of, like, as you said, how we were brought up, and because also we want to, make other people happy. We don't want them to think, oh no, she's so selfish, or like, why is she taking this kind of attitude? But guess what? These judgments are the ones that you are making in your head. That person either didn't tell you that, or if she tells you that when you say no, well, as you said, it's her problem. And I always say, I'm not here to please everybody. Yeah, so that I'm like, yep, that's a reality, honey. So you gotta wake up and do your thing, because at the end of the day, nobody can take care of you as you do, right? And so saying no is one way to build healthy boundaries. Telling other people what are your boundaries? Do that. I do that all the time with my mom, and I'm comfortable with that because I've always done it. But again, I tell her, because I know that our culture, especially when you say no or you go against, they take it as a lack of respect, right? Or you're not listening. But I always tell her, no, I'm not saying that because I don't respect you. I love you and I respect you. I respect your opinion, but this is my life and this is what I'm thinking. And this is what I evaluate, being good for me, because I'm an adult, of course, So being an adult is saying that gives you much more credibility, opposite as if you were 12 years old and say, nope, mom, I know what to do about my life. Let me do it. Right. So 100%, just trust your instinct and you know what's right for you. And there is no shame, nothing wrong by sharing it with other people, because again, nobody reads minds. Or if you have this superpower, please let me know how I can get it, so that people won't read your mind and say, well, this is, how I should react, or this is her boundaries. No, you got to share it with other people. I love that. So coming to an end of this conversation, let's go back to talk business. And I want to know, what is your biggest, business advice that really helped you and and made the biggest impact on your business? I would love to know that.
Okay, honestly, my coach actually gave me one of the best advices that I got, is that this is the time to do it. It's never going to be tomorrow. It's never going to be next month, next year, after 6 months, or on this weekend. This is the time. Go introduce yourself. Ask people if they need help. Go talk to different people. Figure out their problems. Tell them that how you can help them, and this is how you do it. If you are going to wait a perfect time, perfect moment, perfect year to come and get you sworn by your feet, and you are going to be so famous, and you're going to be helping multiple people, and you're going to be running a multiple digit business, it's not going to happen. It's there's no perfect point where somebody said, oh my God, I used this time and it helped me. No. It could be any time, it could be anywhere, it could be at a place where you would never have imagined. And there is no perfect clients. You just meet normal people and you make them into perfect clients, and how this works. So I guess this was one of the best advice, because and many new coaches are going to relate to it. When you're starting, you have so many thoughts. Oh my God, who's going to pay me? How I'm going to work in the business? Where I'm going to go? How I'm going to market myself? Who would I tell that I'm a coach? What my family is going to respond? You're a coach now? There are so many things. How I get done with my licensing, and what kind of degrees or certifications I need. And what if people ask me, where's your website? No, talk to them. Make them trust you, work on yourself, and the clients will come along. Definitely it's a hard thing. When you're starting, it's a huge pressure. You are always thinking, if this is your alternate career, then this is a different thing. But if it's the main thing that you are doing, definitely there's a huge financial stroll that you are thinking about. You have to pay bills. If you are single, or maybe if you are with somebody and you're dependent on them, then it's a different case. But either way, just go out, start talking to people, and things will happen when they will happen, but you will have to start somewhere. So just don't plan and plan and plan on that perfect timing. No, there's no perfect timing that's going to come, especially for you. It didn't for any one of us. So any day, any time could be perfect, and just do it.
Yeah, this is it. Just do it. Just to summarize it, Nike was right. Just do it. My mentor is less, polite, and he would add another word to that sentence. But because it's the truth, and I just, I love that you said that there is no better time than now, and you got to build, upon your skills. And another thing that my mentor says that stuck with me is, I've never seen a plan fail on paper. I've never seen a plan fail on paper. And yes, it's going to be perfect in here, but in the real world, it's not going to be perfect. So you got to, have that for sure, to build your business. I just love that, Aiman. And how did it serve you? I think, how did you practice your being comfortable just taking action in taking imperfect action?
So like it would be funny. So when I started off, imagine coming off in hospital, like doctors are very awkward in their social settings, right? We do not get to interact with so many people. We do not get to tell them like so many things. You are sitting in a compound where patients come to you, you just discuss their diseases and symptoms, and you give them a plan, and then they go. You are not used to so much talking. And then there's another thing: is a doctor who has transitioned its career, and then there are so many questions. Why? Why not your good one? Did your license get canceled? Was it malpractice? Like then there are like total different set of questions, and having to make them understand, no, it was nothing wrong, just a choice. Definitely. But and having to have like, oh my God, maybe I will get a video done when I will have perfect hair, or I will get this thing done and I will write a very good script and then I will upload it, or I'm going to work on this set once it's going to be so good and relatable. And I guess 6 months passed by and there was nothing. Just on paper and paper and paper. And like you said, everything looks so perfect on paper unless you put them out in plan and then you realize, oh my God, it was so different what I was planning for. So yeah, just like that, I just put it out. After 6 months of just thinking, and I like my mentor said, oh my God, Aiman, done it. Like, just get done with it. It's going to be all right. Let's say, even if nobody sees you, then it's best. And if it's 100 people are going to see you, so what's best than that eventually you got to 100 people. So I started like that, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I just uploaded the video, and then I started talking to people. And alhamdulillah, I was blessed to having to have good community where I got a good response, and it eventually worked out. But I have had met people, for them it was much more harder to having to reach right kind of clients and having to meet them and having to have that kind of conversation where it leads to things. And having to get a consult is difficult, and it might need a lot of work. But come on, like if you what I think Fatima really helped me. You do not fail at 100 consults to get one client, but actually you get to practice 100 times. So you could be a perfect coach for one client. Look at that, like, just a change of mindset and you do well.
Yeah. Narrative shifts, so powerful. Changing your story to change your life. And this can take so many forms and shapes. And you can do it for anything, basically. Everything is a perception, thing. So change the story, change your life. And again, if it's your business and you're like scared of launching a business, or you're at the beginning of the business and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Why don't I have any, results or anything? So again, everything is about reflection, testing, especially online, if you have a business online, and see how people respond. And also remember, I think something that I learned in business is that to build that trust relationship, you need time. And I think nobody tells you that. Like, everybody expects to have very quick results and have the secret sauce. Like, there is no secret sauce. So if you need to build, trust with people, especially online, it's going to take much more time. So, take that into account in all your planning, and experimentation. Yeah. So definitely it's a process again. And that's why you need support around you. That's why you need a positive environment that will be here for you, like where you lose motivation when you lose inspiration, because these things also is going to happen. So yeah, I love that. Aiman, where people can find you online, how they can be in touch with you, and if you have anything coming up that you want to share with us, please do it. That's the PR moment.
So definitely you can find me on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. I am life coach for Muslim women. Also, my name is Dr. Aiman. So in January, inshallah, I am launching my podcast. We already have an episode before, but inshallah, more consistently, we would be talking to different clients, discussing their problems. So you can find me on any portal. Where do you find podcasts? I will be on Google and Anchor and Apple Podcasts, everywhere you can find me. So just remember, it's life coach for Muslim women. My name is Dr. Aiman, and definitely I would love to help you. If you are in any part of the world, a Muslim woman, that will be a privilege to having to help my woman in my community.
I love that. And we're going to put all the links, of course, in the show notes. And again, I want to thank you. We talked about so many things, building, boundaries. And as Muslim women, what do we have as limiting beliefs, the imposter syndrome and all of that. And just taking action is the right thing to do. Like, stop planning, especially online. Being in that space for many years as definitely the right lesson. It still sucks. Yes, you still want quick results. Yes, you still want to make a living out of it, but sometimes you got to accept that it might take much more time than you've expected. So I want to thank you so much. Please reach out to Dr. Aiman, life coach for Muslim women. And of course, we'll see you for another episode very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.